Yeah.
And the Qurans you have here are from Jordan, they're from Lebanon,
Yeah.
and they're from North Africa.
Yemen and Sudan.
Yemen and Sudan. Okay, so these are the ones that you have been able to collect. We may even find different one more on top of this. We'll still keep looking.
Yes.
We know that other groups have found 17. There are, in Jordan alone, we understand there are 22 different
Different Quran.
Arabic Qurans. And there you can see, these are the ones you've collected so far. And you're now going through them. It's going to take years for you to get all the way through. But
That's
what have
fine.
you found? What have you found as you went through them? Why don't we get some of them off the pile there? And let's
Okay.
look at them. And let's look at these differences, because it's these differences
Yeah.
that are going to show us not only are we not talking about readings, we're talking about consonantal differences, which means a complete different reading.
What a liar you are! In fact, if you think he's an honest person, you should then think, what a person with bad memory. He read a paper, he can't remember anything, not even method, but he's not a doctor, he's not even published, it's an academic paper.
Currently, there are 5 different versions of the Quran found in the Muslim Ummah. Now, this might be a startling revelation for most of you, but then for academic circles, this is nothing new. So we have 5 different versions of the Quran circulating in the Muslim Ummah. We have this famous version, or I would say the Riwayah of Hafs from Asim, which is the Quran, which is taught in most parts of the Muslim Ummah and which is known to most of us. And these Qurans, as I would point out, are actually named after a famous reciter who used to recite the Quran in a particular way. And when I say reciter, it does not merely refer to pronunciation, it also refers to variation in words. So when I say there are 5 versions, it means that there are 5 different versions which have different words at times. There are verbs which are different, there are nouns which are different, there is a difference between plural and singular, there's a difference between declensions or the i'rab, and then we have other differences as well. So the first of these Qurans, as I said, which circulates in most of the Muslim Ummah, is called the Riwayah of Hafs from Asim. And the second of these versions is called the Riwayah of Warsh and Nafi. And this is also, this Quran circulates in most parts of Morocco and Algeria, and almost all of, in fact, Morocco and Algeria read the Quran on the Riwayah of Warsh from Nafi. The third version of the Quran, which is prevalent in most parts of Libya and Tunisia, it is called the Riwayah of Qalun from Nafi. Now, the fourth version of the Quran is found in parts of Sudan, and this is called the Riwayah of Ad-Duri from Abu Amr. Abu Amr is also another reciter of the Quran. And finally, we have the Quran of Hisham. The Riwayah of Hisham from the Qiraat of Abdullah ibn Amir. Abdullah ibn Amir was a reciter of Damascus, and he died in 118 Hijrah. So these are 5 different versions of the Quran circulating in the Muslim Ummah currently. And as I said, there are the differences in these versions is not just in matters of pronunciation or dial or accent, but it also relates to differences in verb patterns, differences in nouns, different in a singular or plural noun, and similarly in declensions or i'rab. And then there are differences in particles also. For example, at places we'll have waw or a fa in a difference of opinion. And just to give you an example, that the differences which are found in these various versions. In one version, we find the words, as you can see, being displayed on your screen, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْغَنِيُّ الْحَمِيدُ. And in the other version, we'll find فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ الْغَنِيُّ الْحَمِيدُ. So we find the word huwa is missing in one of them. Similarly, there is this difference in singular and plural nouns. So the first of these verses which I cited was Surah Hadid's 24th verse, and now I will cite Surah Tahrim's 12th verse. And the words of this verse in one of the versions is وَصَدَّقَتْ بِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّهَا وَكُتُبِهِ وَكَانَتْ مِنَ الْقَانِتِينَ. And the words in another version are وَصَدَّقَتْ بِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّهَا وَكِتَابِهِ. وَكِتَابِهِ. In the previous we had the plural kutub, and now we have kitab. وَكِتَابِهِ وَكَانَتْ مِنَ الْقَانِتِينَ. And then we have also the differences in verb patterns. For example, in one verse of Surah Araf, which is verse 141, the words are, "Is anjaynakum min ali fir'auna yasumunakum su al-azab yuqattiluna abna'akum." Yuqattiluna abna'akum. And in another version, the words are yaqtuluna abna'akum. And then again, we have a difference in declensions or the Arab. And in Surah Lahab, the fourth verse reads in most versions as Hammalat al-hatab fi jidiha hablum min masad. Why some versions say Hammalatul hatab. So it is declined in the nominative, while the first one is declined in the accusative. So all in all, we can see that there is a difference in these areas. And if you ask me that does this difference change the meaning of the Quran as well, I will say yes. In many cases, it does change the meaning. And although the change might be very minor and it might not be of much significance, but again, it does change the meaning. And in some cases, there is a drastic change in meaning as well. For example, in the Tayammum or in the Wuzu verse of Surah Maida, which is the sixth verse of Surah Maida, if it is read in a particular way during ablution, we would not need to wash our feet. To wipe them would be sufficient. To do masa on them would be sufficient. So if we read the verse as Arjulakum ilal Ka'bayn, the way it is found in some of the versions, then we'll have to wash our feet. But if we read it as Arjulekum, then we would not need to wash our feet. Merely wiping them or doing masa on them would be sufficient if we are doing wuzu. So you can see that there is a difference in the directives as well.